I didn't expect my life to explode at a Sunday brunch. One moment, I was reaching for the orange juice. The next, my sister stood up, pointed at me, and shouted, "You disgust me. You tried to ruin my wedding out of jealousy." Everyone stared. My mom dropped her fork. My dad's face went red. And I just sat there, blinking, wondering what the hell just happened. Let me back up a bit. I'm Jake, 34, software engineer, quiet guy, introvert. I'm the oldest of three. My sister, Madison, is 29, golden girl, always got what she wanted. Our younger brother, Eric, is 26 and too laid back to care about anything. Madison was getting married. Big fancy wedding in Charleston. Destination affair, for days long. You know the type. Instagram perfect, mason jar cocktails, string lights, pastel dresses, and a live band flown in from Austin. I was happy for her. Genuinely. Despite how rocky our relationship had become in recent years, I was trying to be supportive. I even offered to cover part of the honeymoon when I heard her fiancé lost his job. That was my way of extending an olive branch. But the cracks started showing 2 months before the wedding. First, Madison didn't include me in the wedding party. Fine. I'm not a bridesmaid. Whatever. But she didn't even ask me to give a toast or be an usher. Then, she called me and said, "Jake, can you stay at a different hotel? We don't want complications." What kind of complications? You know, your ex-Becca's coming. And I just think it might get awkward. My ex-Becca. Yeah, that was a sore spot. We dated for 4 years. It ended badly when I found out she was cheating with one of Madison's friends. Madison had taken Becca's side back then, saying I was being paranoid and controlling. Still, I swallowed my pride and said okay. I booked a room across town. It wasn't cheap. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, I received a group text. "Hey everyone, just a heads up. Jake won't be attending the rehearsal dinner. He's got work stuff. We'll miss you, big bro." What? I never said that. I called her immediately. "Madison, why would you say I'm not coming to the dinner?" "Oh, well, I figured you'd probably cancel anyway. You always back out. Of family stuff." That wasn't true. But I let it go. Again, I still showed up. I still brought a gift. I smiled. I mingled. I even clapped when Becca and her new fiancé. Yeah, she moved on fast, got congratulated like royalty. But the Real bomb dropped at brunch. The morning after the wedding, that's when Madison claimed I'd slipped a note under her hotel room door, saying I hoped her marriage failed, and that she'd never be happy. That it was a lie. A bold-faced, theatrical, manipulative lie. And everyone believed her. My mom looked like she was about to cry. My dad slammed his hand on the table and said, "You've gone too far this time, Jake." I said, "I didn't write any note." Madison pulled out a folded piece of paper and held it up like Exhibit A in a murder trial. "This is your handwriting." It wasn't that it was close enough to raise doubt. But I knew what was going on. Someone forged it. Someone wanted me gone. I looked around the table. No one met my eyes. Not even Eric. So I stood up, heart pounding, and walked out without a word. That was the last time I saw any of them. Until 3 months later, when the truth started to unravel. 3 months. That's how long it had been since I'd spoken to my family. No texts. No calls. No emails. Nothing but a black hole of silence after Madison's stunt. She'd poisoned the well so completely that I was now the dangerous brother. The jealous freak who tried to ruin her wedding. I didn't even bother explaining myself anymore. What was the point? They had made up their minds. And it hurt more than I cared to admit. I buried myself in work. Coded until 2 a.m. Slept. Like crap. Ate whatever was microwavable. I became a ghost in my own life. Even my coworkers stopped asking if I was okay. I had no one left. No family. No Becca. No Madison. My parents were out of reach. And Eric, my younger brother, who I thought would at least ask for my side of the story, vanished. Until that voicemail. It came in at 1:37 a.m. on a Friday night. I was half asleep on the couch, reruns of some detective show buzzing in the background. My phone lit up. Unknown number. I ignored it. Then a voicemail notification popped up. I almost didn't check it. But something made me tap play. It was Eric. He was slurring his words, clearly hammered. But the guilt, the pain, that came through loud and clear. "Hey man, I know you hate me. I didn't know what to do back then. I should have stood up for you. But I didn't. I'm sorry." My chest tightened. I sat up, suddenly wide awake. I found out. The note wasn't real, he continued. I saw Madison's laptop. She wrote it. "Practiced your handwriting." She even bragged about it to Caroline. She said she had to teach you a lesson. That you always acted like you were better than her. A long pause. "I'm sorry, Jake. I should have said something sooner. I'm a coward." Click. I sat there in silence, heart pounding in my ears. So it was true. She had forged it. She had lied. And not just to protect herself, she planned it. She wanted to destroy me. But why? We weren't always like this. As kids, we were close. I helped her with her math homework. Let her borrow my car. Took the blame when she broke mom's vase. Somewhere along the way, that turned into resentment. Maybe it was jealousy. or bitterness, or just the fact that I distanced myself from the family drama years ago, and she hated losing control that I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the wedding. Every side eye, every fake smile, every passive-aggressive comment, and then I got angry. Not the usual quiet, stewing kind of anger. No, this was hot, sharp, electric rage. Rage with a purpose. If Madison wanted a war, she'd get one, but not the way she expected. That I didn't call her. I didn't text her. I started planning. I backed up the voicemail. Twice. I ran a forensic analysis of the audio, just in case she tried to claim it was fake. I hired a friend from my college days, a cybersecurity expert, to check if she still used the same email I'd helped her set up years ago. Spoiler alert. She did. She had saved the draft of the fake note on her Google Drive, still titled Jake__final.docs. Amateur move inside the doc? A full paragraph she ended up editing out. Lines like, "You'll never be half the woman Becca is," and "No one actually likes you, Madison. They just tolerate you." Things I never said, never even thought. That document was the smoking gun. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen, pulse pounding. That I had everything I needed, but I wasn't going to throw it at her in a text. No, I wanted to see her face when it all came crashing down. I waited for the perfect moment, not out of pettiness, out of precision. If I was going to expose Madison, it had to be undeniable, unforgettable, and irreversible. The opportunity came 2 weeks later. My mom texted me, the first contact from her since the wedding. "Dinner at our place next Sunday. Family only. Please come." Short, neutral, but I read between the lines. It was a trap. Madison would be there, obviously, probably already spinning some new tale about how I'd lost it. I could have ignored it, ghosted the whole circus again, but I didn't. That I wanted every single person who had believed her lies to see the truth with their own eyes. No drama, no screaming, just facts. So I replied, "I'll be there. Thanks for inviting me." And then I prepared. I printed the email metadata showing her IP address when she saved the fake note. I made a screenshot slideshow from her Google Drive. I had the voicemail ready to play, saved in 4 formats. And, just in case anyone thought I faked that, I had a notarized statement from the cybersecurity guy who verified the files. Origin. Yeah, I wasn't messing around. Sunday came. Their house hadn't changed. Same beige siding. Same lopsided wreath on the front door. Same faint smell of meatloaf and cinnamon when I walked in. But something felt different. The moment I stepped into the living room, the air tightened. Like a pressure system just dropped. Madison was on the couch, legs crossed, a smug smile barely hiding behind her wine glass. Why Dad gave me a nod. Not a warm one, just acknowledgement. Eric didn't meet my eyes. Becca wasn't there, of course. My mom ushered me into the dining room, nervously chatting about the roast. No one mentioned the wedding, or what had happened since. Dinner was fake. Polite conversation. Stiff laughter. Forks scraping plates. Madison throwing little comments like knives. "Oh, Jake, I'm surprised you had time to come. Aren't you usually too busy sabotaging people?" Chuckles. That I said nothing. Just sipped my water. Then, as dessert hit the table, I stood up. "Before we dig into pie, I need 5 minutes." My mom blinked. "Jake, it'll be quick," I said. Calm. Flat. I took out my laptop. Plugged it into the HDMI cable that was still there from when Dad used to stream football. The screen flickered. Then displayed a document titled Jake_final.docs. I looked at Madison. Her smile cracked just a little. "This," I said, "is the note that ruined your wedding. The one Madison claimed I left. The one that apparently made me the family outcast." I clicked. The text filled the screen. Then I pulled up the metadata. Saved on May 12th, 2:13 a.m., from Madison's IP address, on her Google Drive. Edited 5 times. Last accessed 3 days before the wedding. My mom paled. Eric stared at the table. I kept going. Here's the line she removed before printing it. I highlighted the part about no one liking her. The kind of line that could only have come from someone with a personal vendetta, not a protective brother. I clicked again. Now, the voicemail. Eric's drunken voice filled the room, crackling with guilt. She wrote it, bragged about it, said Jake needed to be taught a lesson. Dead silence. Then I turned to Madison. "Well?" She didn't say anything at first, just stared at the screen like it had betrayed her. Her face went pale, then flushed red. Her mouth opened, closed, then opened again. "You hacked me," she finally hissed. I laughed, for the first time in weeks. "No, you left your door wide open. I just walked in." My dad cleared his throat. "Madison, is this true?" She scoffed. "Oh, come on. He's obviously been plotting this. Faking evidence. This is classic Jake. Dramatic, manipulative. I have a notarized statement from a third-party digital analyst." I cut in. "This isn't drama. This is truth." Eric finally spoke. "She told me," he said softly. "The night after the wedding. She was drunk. She laughed about it. Said Jake deserved it." My mom's eyes filled with tears. "Why, Madison?" Now Madison snapped. Because he always gets away with everything. He acts so perfect, like he's better than us. I wanted him to feel what it's like to be hated. Just once. No one said a word. She realized it too late, that she'd just confessed. Out loud. In front of everyone. I didn't feel triumph. I felt release. Years of tension. Years of keeping the peace. Years of swallowing my tongue. Gone in a single moment. I packed up my laptop. Thanks for dinner, I said. I'll see myself out. And I left. That night, Eric texted me a long apology. So did my dad. My mom called in tears. But the one person who never reached out? Madison. She never admitted she was wrong. And honestly, that told me everything I needed to know. The days after the dinner felt strangely quiet, like a storm had passed, leaving behind an eerie calm. My phone wasn't blowing up. There were no more guilt-tripping texts. No surprise calls demanding explanations. Just silence. It was liberating and unsettling. For years, my family had been a noisy mess. Always opinions, always drama. Now, it felt like everyone had been stunned into a collective coma, but I wasn't waiting around anymore. I finally unblocked Becca and sent her a message. Not groveling, not begging, just the truth. You were right. I didn't handle things well, but I didn't lie, and I sure as hell didn't write that note. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. If not, I understand. She didn't respond. That day, or the next, or the day after. I tried to move forward. I went back to work. Buried myself in projects. Took on an extra shift or two. Anything to avoid sinking into the black hole of what could have been. But Madison's lies had left scars. A few people from our hometown, mutuals who'd been at the wedding, started texting me. Some awkwardly apologized for jumping to conclusions. Others just wanted the gossip. I ignored them all. One night, I was walking home from work when a car pulled up next to me. It was Eric. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept in days. Can we talk? He asked, leaning over the passenger seat. I hesitated, then got in. We drove in silence for a while before he parked in an empty grocery store lot. Just two brothers, under the flickering buzz of a dying street lamp. I don't know what to say, he admitted. I believed her. For so long. I know, I said quietly. He looked at me. I wanted to hate you. I really did. Because it was easier than believing my fiancée would do something like that. Wife, I corrected him. You married her. Not for long, he muttered. I've been sleeping on the couch. We haven't spoken since that dinner. That surprised me. I'd expected him to stay loyal, to dig in, to double down. But he looked like a man who'd finally seen the truth and couldn't unsee it. She's not who I thought she was, he continued. I should have seen it. The way she always played people off each other. The little games. The jokes that were always too sharp. But I didn't want to believe it. I get it, I said. Love makes you blind. He looked at me and sighed. I'm sorry, man. For everything. For how I treated you. For not having your back. I nodded. I'm not looking for groveling. I just want peace. He gave a tired smile. I'll take peace. As I stepped out of the car, he called after me. If she files for divorce, can I crash at your place for a while? That made me laugh. Depends. You snore. He grinned. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was the start of something that had felt dead for years. A few days later, I got a text from Becca. Just 3 words. Can we talk? My heart damn near exploded. I called her immediately. She picked up on the second ring. There was a pause. Then her voice. I'm sorry. I almost didn't recognize it. So soft, so unsure. I should have trusted you, she said. I let my hurt get in the way. And I'm sorry. I swallowed hard. I get it. I didn't fight hard enough for you. I let Madison get in my head too. She sighed. I miss you, Jake. So much it hurts. I closed my eyes. I miss you too. We didn't fix everything that night. That kind of hurt takes time to heal. But we made plans to meet. In person. Just talk. No pressure. For the first time in a long time, I felt hope. But Madison? She wasn't done. 1 week later, my manager called me into his office. You need to see this, he said, sliding his laptop across the desk. It was an anonymous complaint. Sent to corporate. Accusing me of workplace harassment. Manipulation. Inappropriate behavior. All lies. All disturbingly detailed. My stomach dropped. You believe this? I asked. He shook his head. No. I've known you 5 years. But HR has. To investigate anyway. I sat there in stunned silence. It didn't take a genius to figure out who was behind it. Only one person hated me enough to try and destroy every part of my life. And she was running out of moves. I gathered my own evidence. Got statements from coworkers. Dug into the source of the email. Same tactics I'd used before. The IP matched Madison's home address. When HR cleared me, I didn't feel relief. I felt fury. This wasn't just spite. This was sabotage. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She wanted to erase me. I did something I hadn't planned to do. I hired a lawyer. Not to sue for money. To press charges for defamation and malicious harassment. It wasn't about revenge. It was about drawing a line. If I didn't stand up now, she'd never stop. And I was done being her punching bag. The news spread faster than I expected. Madison got served at work. In front of her boss. In front of her new assistant. In front of the whole damn office that I wasn't there to see it. But someone sent me a video. She looked like a deer in headlights. Frozen, fake smile twitching, hands trembling as she took the envelope. Poetic justice? Maybe, but it wasn't satisfying. Not yet, because while she crumbled on the outside, I was still putting myself back together on the inside. I started therapy again. Real therapy this time. Not just talking to friends or scrolling Reddit for half-baked advice. Turns out, growing up with a narcissistic sibling warps your entire sense of worth. I'd spent years walking on eggshells, second-guessing my own memories, feeling guilty for defending myself. But therapy gave me words for the things I'd been too ashamed to say out loud, that I learned to stop apologizing for existing, that I learned that saying no didn't make me cruel. It made me healthy, and most importantly, I learned how to rebuild trust, especially with Becca. We started meeting once a week. No pressure, just coffee and honesty. At first, it was awkward that we danced around the big stuff, focused on small talk, shared bad jokes and coffee shop drama. But little by little, we chipped away at the wall. Then one day, she showed up with a scrapbook, photos of us, road trips, holidays, lazy Sundays on the couch, but she'd held on to them. And when she handed it to me, her eyes welled up. "I didn't want to forget us," she whispered. "Even when I thought I hated you." That's when I knew we still had a chance, not a guarantee, not a fairy tale, but a chance, and that was enough. Meanwhile, Madison's mask was slipping fast. Eric finally moved out. He called me the night he packed his bags. Said she threw a vase at him. Said she called him useless for defending me. "She's unhinged," he muttered. Like scary unhinged. I didn't say "I told you so." Didn't have to. Truth speaks for itself. When the lies collapsed, he stayed on my couch for 2 weeks. We reconnected. Played video games like we were kids again. Talked about our messed up childhood. How our parents always pit us against each other. "I think she learned it from Mom," he said one night, eyes glued to the TV. "Madison, I mean. The manipulation. The guilt tripping." I nodded. "It's a cycle. But we don't have to keep it going." That became our motto, that we weren't just surviving Madison anymore, we were healing from her. Then came the email. Anonymous again. Different address. Same pattern. This time, she accused Becca. Said she was a known escort, that she blackmailed clients, that she ruined my life and reputation. But this time, she messed up. She used the same burner domain as before. And I'd already flagged it.my lawyer traced it within hours. Same IP. Same house. Same delusional author. I sent the report to Becca before I even showed my lawyer. She read it, lips trembling, then looked at me. "She tried to destroy me," she whispered. "No," I said. "She failed." That's when Becca asked the question I never expected. "Do you want to file a restraining order?" It hadn't occurred to me, but it made sense. Madison wasn't just vengeful, she was dangerous. And I was done letting her circle my life like a shark waiting for blood. We filed it together the next day. I thought that would be the final nail. It wasn't. The court date came. Madison showed up in a beige dress like she was going to brunch, smiling like she hadn't tried to destroy 2 relationships, 2 careers, and my entire mental health. She even waved at me, like we were still siblings, like she still had a place in my life. But when the judge read her email aloud, the one where she accused me of harassing coworkers, I watched something snap behind her eyes. For the first time, she looked scared, because the courtroom wasn't her stage. There were no enablers here, and no sympathetic parents. No gossiping bridesmaids. No crowd to feed on, just facts, evidence, witnesses. She tried to speak, cut off mid-sentence by the judge. She tried to cry, dry-eyed and transparent. And when the ruling came down, full restraining order, plus mandatory psychological evaluation, she gasped like she'd just been slapped. But me? I felt nothing. Not hate. Not pity. Just silence. And that silence was the most peaceful thing I'd ever known. Asterisk after court. Eric met me on the courthouse steps. He clapped me on the back, eyes red but smiling. "She's gone," he said. "For now," I replied. "But if she ever comes back," "She won't," he interrupted. Because for the first time, she didn't win. And that was the truth. Madison didn't win. She couldn't twist the story anymore. Couldn't gaslight her way out of this one. We'd taken back control. And that control, it felt like freedom. 6 months. That's how long it's been since the restraining order. Not a message. Not a sorry. Not even a petty email from a new burner. Just silence. And I never knew how healing silence could be. And no more waiting for the next explosion. No more bracing for chaos. No more Madison. Instead, I have a life again. A real one. It's not flashy or dramatic or filled with perfect Instagram moments. But it's mine. I wake up early now. Take walks before the sun rises. Cook breakfast instead of grabbing coffee on the go. Even got into gardening. Turns out, watching something grow slowly is the best therapy. No one talks about Becca and I. We're not rushing anything that we moved in together, yeah? But there's no pressure to pretend we're some perfect couple that we argue. We make up. We talk about everything, especially the hard stuff. And every time she reaches for my hand, or makes my coffee just the way I like it without asking, I feel something I didn't think I'd feel again. Safe. Not just with her. With myself, that I stopped blaming myself for not seeing Madison sooner. For ignoring the red flags. For letting her twist so much of my past. You can't heal what you keep denying. And once I stopped pretending she could change, I started changing. Instead, there's this moment I keep thinking about. From my childhood. It was summer. I was maybe 10. Madison had just gotten a new bike. I asked if I could try it for a minute. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "If you touch it, I'll make sure Mom thinks you broke it." So I didn't. I just stood there and watched her ride in circles. And I remember thinking, even back then, why does it always have to be her? Now I know it doesn't. Not anymore. The power she held wasn't real. It was borrowed. Built on lies and fear and silence. But the moment I stopped being silent, she lost it all. Now, my sister lives 2 states away, attending court-mandated therapy. She posts fake happy photos online, but people know the truth that I don't hate her, but I don't miss her either. Letting go wasn't easy. But holding on, that was killing me. Eric and I still hang out. We build a fire pit in my backyard and grill on weekends. He's dating someone new. Kind, grounded, no drama. Sometimes we talk about Madison. Mostly we don't. We're too busy living. Last weekend, Becca looked at me while we were folding laundry. Nothing special, just a quiet evening. And she said, "I like who you are now." I smiled. I like who I'm becoming. Because that's the thing about surviving someone else's story. Eventually, you start writing your own. And mine? It finally has peace. It finally has truth. And best of all, it finally has me. That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought? Or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.